Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie Esteves de la Cruz. My teacher's name is Mohamed. I'm studying from the Webes University and this is my oral part from the exam. First, the American and British English. In terms of speech, the difference between American and British English actually took place after the first settlers arrived in America. These groups of people spoke using what was called rhotic speech, where the R sounds of words are pronounced. Meanwhile, the higher classes in the UK wanted to distinguish the way they spoke from the common masses by softening the pronunciation of the R sounds. Since the elite even back then were considered the standard for being fashionable, other people began to copy their speech until it eventually became the common way of speaking in the south of England. Spelling differences. British and American English have some spelling differences. For example, vocabulary differences. The American and British also have some words that differ from each other. The table below lists some of the everyday objects that have different names depending on what form of English you are using. Grammar differences. Aside from spelling and vocabulary, there are certain grammar differences between British and American English. For instance, in American English, collective nouns are considered singular. For example, the band is playing. In contrast, collective nouns can be either singular or plural in British English, although the plural form is most often used. For example, the band are playing. The British are also more likely to use formal speech, such as shall, whereas Americans favor the more informal will or should. Americans, however, continue to use gotten as the past participle of get, which the British have long since dropped in favor of got. The characteristic of English dialects and slangs. Dialects, they are the specific way in which we as practitioners of a language speak, taking into account our historical, culture, and anthropological context, that is, making the language a reflection of our existence. There are several countries where English is spoken with their own English dialect. England, the United States, Australia, Ireland, and some others have native English speakers. Even within each of these countries, there are several dialects. For example, a person from New York sounds very different from a person from Texas. Why it is important to learn dialect in English? When you are learning English, you have to choose a learning method. The decision you made can have a huge impact, even if you don't realize it at first. Each dialect differs by having different orthography, common phrases, differences in speech, accents, and pronunciations. Sometimes they even have different words for the same things. Why it is a good idea to listen to the dialects of English? These are the reasons. 1. It can be difficult to understand a dialect if you are not familiar with it. 2. By listening to natural conversations, you can learn how people actually speak and not just how they are supposed to. 3. And the last, you can improve your confidence in the way you speak English by listening to the different dialects that exist around the world. Slang in English. Slang is a special language of a different social group that is only used by the speakers of that social group by themselves. This particular language can be difficult to understand for those who are not part of that particular social group. exactly how many words are there in the English language? There is no real answer to that question. To arrive at the possible total, there must be a consensus of what constitutes the actual vocabulary. British English and American English. Test states there are far more American words and expressions in British English than ever before, although there is a two-way exchange. The directional flow of loans favors to route from the United States to Great Britain. As a result, British English speakers generally tend to be more familiar with Americanisms than American English speakers with British. This is characterized by being linguistic barriers used by cohesive social groups. It is also done when jargon is used by marginal groups, and its purpose is to make it difficult for other people to understand. We must master it. For example, I said, I'll pick you up at 1 p.m., okay? Awesome. Another example is, you look a bit. What have you been doing? I've been helping my dad in the yard all morning. The importance of phonetic corrections. When you open any English dictionary, you will find some kind of signs after the word, just before the meaning of the word. Those signs are called phonetics. Phonetics will help you how to pronounce a particular word correctly. It gives the correct pronunciation of a word both in British and American English. Phonetics are based on sounds. Once you know to use phonetics, then you don't have to go behind anybody asking them to help you to pronounce a particular word. You can do it by yourself. You can even teach others and correct them when they do not pronounce a word correctly. Phonetics allows teachers and students to examine the difference between the search and sounds and the target language that is being learned. The study of phonetics enables students to be better understand and speak at a level close to fluent. Prioritizing the implementation of phonetics is advantage to new English learners in helping them understand the psychological workings of language and better improve their ability to communicate and be understood.